assessment, you want to kind of look carefully at that. So what did people notice as you looked through how this particular teacher analyzed their items? What are some things that you noticed about what kids are having trouble with and or what kids do understand here?
I love the way they did this, to break it out. It's so visual, so you can see that, like, number 3, number 1 and number 2, most of the kids got it right, and then there are a few kids that they need to work on for whatever mistake they made. But number 3, 50% and 50% got a confusion that could be, retaught, an objective that could be retaught. And then on number 4, they're all over the place, and so there's a basic skill probably missing that you need to add the numbers first and then figure out what the percentage of class is.
Yeah.
I love that the teacher probably scaffolded how to make the handout easier for them to read. Because you can see the student circle the main numbers, and then also like what are the keywords and like the concepts in every single problem. So like that's really important. And you can see like the teacher had something to do with that.
And you're down on the second page, so she's talking about the individual student work. So in a minute I'll pop that up and you can see what she's talking about. But thinking about this whole class data, is there any other takeaways? Yeah.
I would say that they probably have like a breakdown and understanding of what the denominator is. So they're probably assuming like, oh, it's 2 out of 10, it's like the same as 2 out of 100. Or sorry, yeah, 2 out of 100, I think, right? So
for number 2.
For
number 3.
Number 3.
Right.
Yeah. So and some of them might have that misconception.
Totally. And you have an opportunity there because half of them got it right and half of them got it wrong, so you also could do some nice partnerships, right? Like compare your answers, convince each other who's right, right? Sometimes I do that. I don't say what's right. I'm trying to battle it out and see if they can figure it out among themselves. And then here we were talking about, I think this comes out to be 4/19 if you put it as a fraction, but the question asked that happened before. We're going to tell like it's not happening. They were supposed to put it as a percentage, right? So that's kind of like a reading issue. Did you really read the question carefully and see more than a math issue, probably? I was telling a funny story. So I have birds in my classroom, and it's like a whole thing about why I have them and why I hate having pets and all this. And then 2 of them have died, but 1 of them dropped dead during class while I was being observed. So it just like started bleeding. And then the kids were like, the bird's bleeding, but I had like 3 people observing me, and I was like, okay, well, we'll deal with it after class. and I just like fell over dead. It was like, anyway, yeah. So sometimes weird things come over the loudspeaker. We just keep on going, keep on going. So this is one way that you might want to analyze your data. And in the summer, we enter every single exit slip the data into OSAT. When you get into your classroom during the school year, I usually just sort them out, like, kids who are getting everything right, good explanation. I just like, honestly, sometimes I just recycle them. And then I really look at the kids that are having trouble and figure out like what, or I give it back with a star on it, but you know what I mean. The kids that are having the trouble are the ones that I really dig into and try and figure out like where's that problem. So speaking of that, I think Sophia made a really good point that this teacher had scaffolded clearly some strategies to use to solve this problem. And that's something you guys have a lot of power over this summer, because what we're seeing on the first assessments is that kids are not using a lot of strategies right now to solve problems generally. Depends on the student, but in general we're seeing a lot of just answers on the paper, right? So the student did something, but where was that student's understanding breaking down? For that question number 9. Yeah, go ahead, Seema.
1 to round up and 1 to round down.
Right, and what did this, you should round one of them up and one of them down, but what did this student do?
Round them.
They both rounded them both up, right? So if we didn't ask students to write down their thinking, we would never know why that student got that wrong, right? We wouldn't know, did they add it wrong? We wouldn't, we just would have no idea. Did they add the complete numbers without rounding? So we wouldn't know. So that's why, one of the reasons why we have it written into the ISAT this year, objectives about how to explain their thinking, and we're super specific about how it needs to be explained. And the ISAT gives you a lot of guidance and sample answers that would be scoring a score of 4 on the rubric, so that's there for you to help you. Do you have a question?
No.
Yeah. So that's basically, those are kind of the key things that I just wanted to kind of put in the back of your mind. You can now file it away for in 2 weeks. But in terms of looking at data and then also entering it into the OSAT, the key thing is it needs to be out of a score of 100, and check in with your collab mates about what you're going to be teaching for the rest of the summer if you want to have some input into that. Do you guys have any questions? And you don't have to, because I know you're focused on reading. I just want to put it out there.
I have a question.
Yeah.
For the OSAT, I wasn't sure where exactly, like what tab to click or.
To enter this. So when you, I don't have it in front of me, but I believe there's a tab that says track.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you're going to pull down the LAX first grade standards.
Common Core
Common
Math.
Core Math. And then the, I believe, then you can, on the side, you can click on daily. And then it's going to, that's where you're going to be entering it.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a path to get there. Yeah.
Heather, could you speak for a second just about, for daily assessments, we're obviously aligning to the diagnostic and how, you know, on the ISAT, like how those problems look on the ISAT.
Mm-hmm.
But can you talk just for a second about like how scaffolding might look on an assessment for, you know,
Mm-hmm.
we have kind of the one problem to kind of go off of.
Mm-hmm. And we are going to be talking about that. We are going to get a session about methods for math next week, so we are going to talk more about that. The thing to know now is that you want to have an easier problem and a problem that's at the level of rigor of the ISAT. For your daily assessment, you can score them both equally and enter that score. Yeah.
But it is important to have
Yeah.
scaffolding so that
Right.
you can see what, you know, if maybe a student doesn't,
Right.
can't get to the highest level of rigor, but you know what they do know.
Right, and that's what we saw here on this piece, right? So the first two questions, we saw that
Right.
students knew those, right? Yeah. And we will talk more about that, yeah.
So I know my collab partner is doing the diagnostic now, and in the OSAT it's got the diagnostic and mid-institute and summative. Do you know where the mid-institute one falls in so we can plan ahead?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Somebody else asked me that, and I emailed myself to ask. I don't
okay.
know.
It
Yeah.
says, it says July 2nd, I think, on like below it, if I'm not mistaken.
So there you go.
Maybe
Julie.
my eyes literally
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
made
sorry.
that up as a lie.
No,
But
sorry,
I
you're
saw,
right.
like,
The
right there.
thing for you guys to know.
I know, because I thought that too. I was
Yeah.
that question.
The thing for you guys to know about that is that it's the mid-institute assessment is only the objectives that have been taught so far. So because that's after only about 7 days of
Oh.
teaching, there's only going to be 7 questions on it, so it won't even take the whole class period.
So it's not like a diagnostic for the second set of standards?
Right.
coming up?
No,
Okay.
it's just
That's what I was worried about.
Figuring out how they're doing on the stuff that we've taught so far.
Okay.
And is it across all 3 subjects? Yeah.
Just math.
Oh, just math.
Just math.
Okay.
So you guys don't even have to worry about it. They have to worry about it.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to find out and get back to them. So on that note, we're about out of time. But a couple things, and this has to be also if you're having trouble entering your DRA data or any other questions about OSAT, Shane is the person who knows the most about OSAT on staff, and he's having office hours for the rest of this week. The times are up there. I also have office hours tomorrow, and then again next Monday and Wednesday. You can always call me or email me. And if you can't get to Shane for some reason or something comes up for you 9 o'clock tonight as you're entering data, feel free to email me your question and I'll try and find out the answer and get back to you as soon as I can. Because we want to help everyone get all their data entered and be able to start using it. Yeah.
Oh, no, this is not for me. I have a question about DRA. When is, do you know
I
when
can
that's,
probably answer.
do you know when that's due? When all is over?
Friday at, I think it's Friday at 5.
Talking about like just when do we want all DRs to be done by? As ASAP was by Friday.
Yeah.
And the scores to be entered into OSAT Friday as well.
Yeah, but we want people putting them in as they go so they can go ahead and have that information